Hey guys, what's up? Zach here with a halo about fucking. You know what? I'm keeping it. I don't care. This is a video about the Halo Infinite beta or multiplayer beta that came out this week. And these are just 5 complaints that I've had about the game, but it's not to say that it's a bad game. This is a fantastic game, and honestly, if you overlook some of the small things, quote unquote, the battle pass that both it's plaguing Reddit and every other social media platform, then you'll probably have a great experience. But that's not what this list is about. These are kind of other things that it's kind of gone and you kind of wish they were there. At least I wish was there. But nevertheless, the first item is the weapons. In previous Halo iterations, each weapon was kind of a staple. Like, they were all different, unique, and they had their use cases. In this game so far, you can obviously tell what like the S tier weapon is versus kind of like what the D tier weapon is. Let's say I put in a fighting terms. Like, let's say if one weapon spawn has the stalker rifle on one map, and then you go to a different match on that same map, and then it's a shock rifle. In my opinion, the stalker rifle is just a carbine that is a beam rifle, and it gets the worst traits of both. While the shock rifle is basically the beam rifle that also stuns vehicles, because it can two-hit people and it can disable vehicles. So you can easily get rid of wasps in midair. So in my opinion, there's not really a reason to pick the stalker rifle over the shock rifle. In addition, there's other weird weapon combinations that I'm kind of not a fan of, but I understand what they were trying to do. For example, the heat wave, it's okay. Like, you can kill people with it, but it's not like what the OG Halo shotgun was or what the Promethean shotgun was in Halo 4. Also, it might not even be worth picking up any other weapons because the weapons that you typically start with are pretty good. For example, the assault rifle and the pistol, they have pretty good kill times and good range. Like the pistol, you can cross map with it pretty much, and I would say it's definitely up there with the Halo 1 pistol, at least in terms of damage output. It just has slightly less damage and it has a higher fire rate. So for item number 2 on this list that I randomly came up with is that you don't really interact with teammates except when you're getting hit by a vehicle, or you can throw a grenade and it can intercept your grenade. I feel like it should be one or the other. Like, you should be able to jump on top of their heads and stuff like that in previous Halos, and you can get up to higher vantage points. Because I know there's a couple vertical maps, at least in big team battles so far, that can definitely benefit from having two people help each other up. For example, I know in previous Halo games, if you had a grab hammer, you can swing people up to higher locations to help you get an advantage during the match. And I feel like Halo Infinite would be great if it had something similar to that. To make it quick, number 3 is the radar. Now, I don't think the radar is bad. I just had a couple complaints about things that aren't included in it or that were slightly changed from previous Halo iterations. The first should be that the radar has been shrunk to 18 meters versus 25 compared to previous Halo games. I'm going to make the argument that it should be at least increased to 20. The main reason that since you're given sprint, people can easily run up behind you and sneak up on you before you realize. That means, sure, you may have like faster firefights, but you're also like less aware of the situation. And there's many times where people just came up behind me where I was like, oh, I looked away for 1 second and he just sprinted into my radar and I didn't notice. The other part of the radar that I wish and they included was the verticality aspect of it. In Reach, they had the different transparencies. So if an enemy was below you, he was kind of faded and you can see like a little dark red like circle below you. And it made sense, like, oh, they're below me, that means it's darker. Or if they're above you, it was slightly more bright and it had a little arrow above it to say like, oh, this guy's on top of you. Which I do miss it because sometimes you can't tell exactly where a person's at or if they're on the same plane as you. But if they can add that, that'd be great. Now, the fourth option is just going to be customization. Don't get me wrong. In this game, customization is fantastic. Like, holy cow, you can customize everything from like the gauntlets of little, I don't even know, bracers that rest on top of your hands, stuff like that. But I dislike that you have the different armor cores. So you have the one that they give you, which is the Mark 7, which is the basics for the Halo Infinite and the new generation of Spartans. If you bought the season pass, you're given the Mark 5, which is for the Halo Reach armors. Now, if you were to, let's say, unlock a visor for the Mark 7, you can't use it for the Mark 5 armors. Now, I mean, I understand because like a lot of the Reach armors in there were actually from the Reach game. At least they're the same assets, just spruced up a little bit nicely from the looks of it. Or they could have been entirely remade. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. But it would be nice if we could just, you know, have kind of shared armor pools. Like, oh, what if I want this from Mark 7, but I also want this from Mark 5? Like, oh, I can have the new Recon helmet with the old Halo Reach armor. That'd be sick. The other aspect of customization is the color palettes or color swatches. In previous Halos, you could pick pretty much a primary and secondary color, and then that's it. In this one, there's a little bit of a difference where you get different patterns. So you get like a primary color, then you get like a secondary color, and then they can have like different accents with those. Except you don't get to choose the placements of the accents or even where the primary and secondary colors go. Now, I would be completely fine if they had like the different styles. Like, let's say your entire arm was red and that was like a base model. And then you had a different palette that was like, hey, this is your primary color and this is your secondary color. So your primary color could be like green, and then your whole armor would be green. And then your secondary color could be yellow, and then your arm would be yellow. But if you change that to like, let's say red and blue, your body would be blue and your arm would be red. That would be kind of sick, honestly. But unfortunately now, the way it stands is you don't get to pick what style goes with what or what colors goes with what. It's just pretty much all or nothing. And the last thing that I kind of wish would be improved is I can't like text or interact with the opposite team. In previous Halo games, at least on MCC, I was able to text with the other team, be like, how did you kill me? Or where did you come from? Or like, what the heck happened with this? I just love those moments where like, I'm not suspecting anything, and then bam, something happens that I'm not aware of. And I honestly think it'd be great if they added it. It might just be a future release. I want to take this moment to discuss the current issues that most people are having. Most of it is with the Battle Pass. So if you keep that in mind, it's just cosmetics for the most part. Sure, it sucks that you can't like earn XP or get anything kind of meaningful for it. But if that's like the issue that most people are having with the game, I would call it at least gameplay wise, that's a pretty good game. And Battle Pass stuff and cosmetics, that's easily fixable. So honestly, by the time this game launches, I feel like it'll be a strong contender and will live for many years to come. And that's not even including the things like the campaign that's coming out on the 8th, along with the different custom games and Forge games that are coming out. Because as far as I know, you can do like full scripting in Forge if I'm not mistaken. So I definitely see a long life for this game, at least longer than like let's say 4 or 5. But definitely this game is going to do very well. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for sticking around. If you watched this long or if you're new to the channel, thank you. Feel free to hit like if you agree. If you had any comments or anything about I picked, write it down there somewhere. I don't know. Up there. You could have your monitor upside down. But anyways, thank you. And I hope you guys have a great day.